Brilliant. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. I think this is going to be really interesting, as I think most of our presentations are very interesting. But this is a little bit different, I think, compared to some of the others that we've done. So we have, I'm going to let Peter introduce himself, but background in theatre and now doing a PhD at I don't know what the new change the name is, UCLan, but it's not that anymore. What's it called now, Heidi?
It's we'll go, yeah, Heidi say it because I might get it wrong.
Well, it's still University of Central Lancashire, but it will one day soon become the University of Lancashire.
Okay.
It's in the process.
And it's going to speak to us here about the use of theatre around empathy and compassion training for doctors. So Peter, I'll let you do a better introduction of yourself than that. And if everybody else could mute themselves, that'd be great, so that we don't get any kind of interference in the sound. That'd be fantastic. Thanks. Peter, over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll just jump straight into sharing my little presentation, and then that'll keep me on track and stop me hopefully waffling too much. But yeah, hopefully you can all see that now. As part of this, we are going to watch a clip, or even a full scene from the play. In fact, so yeah, best to have headphones on if you've got them, just to set them up as we're going through this bit. I'm going to talk for about 5 or 10 minutes or so before we get to that point, just to kind of give some background into how I got here. But yeah, I'll just kick off and get us going, because there's quite a lot I want to cover. I always try and cram too much into things like this. But first of all, thanks very much for having me. It's I've been really looking forward to today and meeting you all and sharing with very much, I think, a new group, because I've done a lot of stuff with nursing, a little bits with paramedics, but the medicine side of things is still quite new and fresh. So this is a really lovely opportunity. So thank you. So first of all, a little bit about me. I should have explained the title. So Empathy Machines, Using Theatre and Film with the Training of Compassionate and Reflective Health Professionals. That's the title of my thesis for my PhD. Empathy Machines is the thing that I get excited about. That's what film and theatre does, that I love. A little bit about me, Pete Carruthers. I'm a writer, actor, director, and researcher. I'm just about getting used to saying researcher and not sort of cringing at it. PhD student at UCLan in the School of Nursing and Midwifery, which took a bit of getting used to as an actor being based in the School of Nursing, but I've been welcomed with open arms and I'm feeling at home there now. I'm also a visiting fellow at Nottingham Trent University, doing a lot of work there, particularly on the nursing course and paramedics course. Hopefully got some stuff with the OT course as well coming up soon. So that's all very exciting. I'm going to start with a short film, just to tell you a little bit about this. This is the first film that I wrote, produced and acted in after drama school back in 2011. So I graduated 2009. By 2011, I was fed up with the stuff I was being given as an actor. I thought I'm going to make my own. So created this short film looking at the experience of a military veteran living with PTSD day to day. Very much a personal project, very little budget, lots of favours. Took us a couple of years to make it, but it went down really well. I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, but I'm just going to show you a really short clip so you kind of get a feel for what this film is about. A little bit of sound in this as well. So yeah, it went down very well right from the start. It started initially getting used to as a training tool, but I wasn't expecting at all. It was just somebody who worked at in the mental health nursing department at Edge Hill University asked if they could share it with their students. And I said yes, of course. Went down very well, and then started to get shared with other universities. Then I started getting invited to present it at GP training, workshops and seminars, and with nurses and people working obviously with veterans charities, and just started to go from there really. And then a year later, I was invited to the National Military Mental Health Conference in York, and it was one of those where, again, with it being a film, something creative, it was stuck on at the end of the day, when all the serious stuff had been done, and thankfully a lot of people did hang on and watch it, and some of the feedback really stuck with me that day. And the two that very much stand out with this one, I learned more from watching your 10-minute film than I did in the entire conference. And when I share that, I always say I'm sorry if you were presenting that day, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. And the other one was, they should have started the conference with your film so that everyone knew right from the start why we're all here. And I'm not sharing that just to kind of boost my ego. It's just that was the moment where I thought, oh, I'd like to see where this little trail of breadcrumbs goes. This is really exciting. The possibility of creating somewhere that had a real impact. And that's kind of how when I started carving out this little niche that I find myself in, really. So amazingly, still to me, to this day, the film's been used all over the world to train health professionals and volunteers working with military veterans, particularly, obviously in the UK, Ireland, Canada, USA, Netherlands, Uganda, that was very exciting, Australia, and just recently in the UAE. So yeah, still going strong to this day. Thanks to the success of the film, I was then commissioned by the NHS to create another short film, this time looking at the issues that some veterans face when transitioning to civilian life, some more kind of social problems around employment and housing and things like that. And then a year after that, was commissioned again by the NHS, this time Pennine Care Trust and NHS England, to make a film about a veteran going through psychological therapy, looking at the impact particularly on his family as he goes through that. Not all veteran stuff. There's also, as an example, this is a short film I made with Royal Manchester Children's Hospital that looks at what it's like for a young person with autism when visiting hospital, and the kind of sensory overload and how difficult that can be if protective plans aren't put in place to help them. But the big one is that this is my baby. This is why we're here, I think, most of all, and the one we're going to watch a clip from in a moment. This is my first full theatre play as a solo writer, The Possibility of Colour. Actually started writing this when I was at drama school back in 2008. And it's been co-developed through several periods of R&D with mental health professionals, academics, students, and I think most importantly, experts by experience. And I think thanks to that, it's been described as accurate, sensitive, and empowering, which is really exciting for me. It explores quite a few things, including mental health, voice hearing, neurodiversity, including synesthesia specifically, trauma, coercive control, forced treatment, and much, much more. And you'll see some of those when we watch the clip in a moment. The big question it asked, though, is who is normal and who gets to decide? And that was the seed, I think, that got me writing it back in 2008. And that was from seeing some of the things that my little boy, who'd had a recent diagnosis with autism at the time, some of the messaging that he was getting. And that was kind of like what launched me into this story. First full production finally happened in November 22, with some backing from Health Education England, as it was then, and UCLan. And some of that funding helped us to share it with over 1,300 student nurses who watched the play and took part in discussions after each performance or screening with guest experts on the panel. And taking part in those events counted as placement hours towards their training. And that was something that Health Education England were really keen on, and now NHS England, as it is now, are keen to kind of keep that going. There was 10 live performances in total, and 3 screenings of that recorded performance in that initial kind of tour that we did. Really lovely feedback from everyone, student nurses, lecturers, experts by experience, right across the board. It was nice that everyone kind of had a positive experience with it. Obviously you get the odd exception who's not so sure, but largely it was really positive. And I think this shows that the average score that people gave it was 4.8 out of a maximum of 5. Some people tried to put 6 on the feedback form, which was lovely, but we recorded those ones as 5 as well. So I think now it's probably best to just let it speak for itself for a little while. As I said, this scene is the second scene in the play. It should work. I think it does work as a standalone little piece. Basically, this is Aisling. She's come to the GP to get some advice, basically. And yeah, we'll take it from there. So while you're watching this, just ask you to keep microphones off, cameras off, and just to warn you, there's some bad language in it, and there's some difficult themes in there as well. So it looks at things like it talks about childhood trauma and voice hearing. But hopefully you'll be okay with that. I'm going to turn my camera off as well and my microphone off as we watch it. I'll see you in 18 minutes.
Aisling Brennan?
Yes.
Hello, Aisling. Apologies for the delay to your appointment time. I'm afraid we're very busy today.
Oh, that's okay.
Would you like a complimentary coffee? We have latte, cappuccino, espresso, americano, or maybe you'd prefer...
Sorry, 1 second. I'm just on automatically.
Aisling Brennan?
Yes.
Hello, Aisling. Apologies for the delay to your appointment time. I'm afraid we're very busy today.
Oh, that's okay.
Would you like a complimentary coffee? We have latte, cappuccino, espresso...
Subtitles, and I must have put the wrong version in. Sorry about that. Hopefully you'll be okay just hearing it. This is going well. There we go. Let's just get back to the beginning. I'll just need to restart this bit, I think. There we go.
Brennan?
Yes.
Hello, Aisling. Apologies for the delay to your appointment time. I'm afraid we're very busy today.
Oh, that's okay.
Would you like a complimentary coffee? We have latte, cappuccino, espresso, americano, or maybe you'd prefer to choose from our selection of
I've just had
teas.
one, thank you.
Very well. What is the reason for your visit today, Aisling?
Oh, I'd rather just discuss that with Dr. Connolly, if that's all right.
You are booked in for an initial consultation and diagnostic assessment, which I will be carrying out.
No, I don't think so. I made a request to see Dr. Connolly, and then you replied with this appointment time.
Our diagnostic assessment tool has been approved for initial consultations for 6 months now. In 95% of cases, it performs better than the average human doctor.
Sorry, I'm just not comfortable.
Lucas, I'm dealing with it.
I'm just not comfortable discussing this with you. It's quite complex, you see, and I always see Dr. Connolly. He knows me. Is there any way you could just rearrange for me to see him? I don't mind coming back another time.
Dr. Connolly no longer works at this practice.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no. I hope he's okay.
I didn't know that.
It might reassure you to know that I have full access to your entire medical history.
No, that doesn't reassure me.
out.
Shut up. Why would that reassure me?
Having access to your records will assist me in providing an accurate diagnosis and recommended course of treatment.
No, I don't want that. Look, sorry, could you just refer me to see a proper doctor? Is Dr. Khan still here?
Initial consultations with a human doctor are only available as an optional extra to patients with a silver policy or higher. You are covered by the state-funded basic health insurance. Would you like to upgrade to a silver policy?
No. Next question.
How much is it?
What? Shut up.
Would you like me to calculate a quote based on your medical history and current circumstances?
Yes, please.
1 moment, please. Today we can offer you an initial 3 months of cover with our award-winning silver health insurance for just £675.
Oh,
Would you
is
like to
that
proceed?
all?
Oh, wow, that's a lot more than I thought it was going to be. No, sorry, I don't really think I can afford that at the moment. Are you sure that's the only way I can see a real doctor?
Initial consultations with a human doctor are only available as an optional extra to patients with a silver policy or
Yes,
higher.
okay, fine. If that's the only way, then yes, I'll
No,
upgrade.
we need that.
Lucas, I mean it. I need you to be
Excellent.
quiet.
Would you like me to read the terms and conditions laid out in your contract now, or would you prefer to accept the terms and read them at a later date? Please bear in mind that this consultation is limited to 7 minutes.
No, just send them to me, click accept,
What the
whatever.
fuck are you doing?
1 moment,
Are
please,
you sure
while I
about this,
transfer you
Ash?
to Vigil
Listen,
Money.
If we don't get a sick note, we are getting fucking sanctioned again, probably 3 months at least this time, and that includes the rent money. So in the grand scheme of things, 600 odd quid is fuck all.
Fuck all. It's all we've got.
Hello, this is Vigil Money. We have a request for a payment of £675 to Vigil Health. To confirm this payment, please say your memorable word or phrase now.
Connemara.
This is
Thank you.
fucked.
Payment authorised. Transferring you back to Vigil Health. Hello, Miss Brennan. Congratulations. You are now a silver policyholder. Would you like me to give you a brief tour of the benefits available to you?
No, thank you. I just want to see a doctor. Is Dr. Khan available?
As a silver policyholder, you have the option to see a doctor for your initial assessment. However, I do need to advise you that in 95% of cases, our automated diagnostic assessment tool...
Yeah, I'm
performs
aware of
better
that.
than
I'd
an
still like to
average
see
human
Dr. Khan, please.
Would you like me to arrange an appointment with a doctor?
Yes, with Dr. Khan.
The next available appointment for silver policyholders is with Dr. Johansson at 4:30 p.m. on the 7th of November. Would that be suitable?
Hang on, that's 2 weeks away. Have you got nothing sooner than that?
There are 127 appointments available before that date. However, these are reserved for platinum and diamond policyholders. Would you like to upgrade your policy?
Fucked.
No, the 7th of November is fine.
Excellent. And how would you like to pay for the appointment?
I've just paid for it.
You have paid to become a silver policyholder, which allows you to request an initial consultation with a human doctor. However, these optional extras are chargeable.
So what's the point in having a silver policy then?
Would you like me to give you a brief tour of the benefits available to you?
No. Okay, right. Well, how much is an appointment then?
For an initial consultation with a human doctor, the fee for silver policyholders is £395.
You
Are
fucking
you on
retard.
drugs? I can't afford £400 every time I want to see the pissing doctor.
Our price plan is clearly laid out in the terms and conditions of your contract and on the Vigil Health web portal. Would you like to book the appointment?
Well, I can't afford it, can I? So no. And I want to cancel the silver policy. I assume I'm entitled to a refund.
Are you sure you'd like to cancel, Miss Brennan? Would you like me to give you a brief tour of the benefits available
Yes,
to
I'm
you?
sure. And no, I do not want to hear about the fucking benefits of your rip-off bullshit policy. Thank you.
Very well, I will cancel the policy now. Would you like to complete a questionnaire on how you would rate your experience as a silver policyholder?
No.
One moment, please. Okay, Aisling, your silver policy has now been cancelled, and you are now covered by the state-funded basic health insurance.
And what about the refund?
Your refund has been processed and should be back in your Vigil Plus credit account within 30 days.
You fucking
30 days?
Yes, the cancellation process is clearly illustrated in the terms and conditions.
Right, brilliant.
Get out of here before you fuck
Would
this
you
up
like to
anymore.
continue with your consultation? You have 3 minutes remaining.
Get out.
No.
Now.
Yes, sorry. Yes, carry on.
You're gonna die.
Excellent. What is the reason for your visit today, Aisling?
Right, well, I'll be straight with you. Normally, when I'm feeling a bit like this, Dr. Connolly, well, he knows me. He knows what I need, and he just gives me a sick note for a couple of weeks, sometimes more, actually. But 2 weeks is all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for more than that. So yeah, I'm assuming that with this new system, is it you that sorts that out for me? Or?
Do you have any symptoms?
Well, yeah, sort of.
We're not fucking
I
symptoms.
know you're not.
Before I can provide a sick note, I will need to assess your symptoms.
Yeah, okay, fine.
What symptom is causing you the most concern at the moment?
Right, okay, how do I explain this? All right, well, the thing is, I normally go to this group and they help me, but they've been shut down, something about them being an unregulated treatment centre, which is bullshit, by the way. All they do is serve tea and coffee. But anyway, since they got shut down,
You can already see my records.
sorry.
Seriously, just fuck off.
Fuck off, Lucas.
As I'm sure you can see from my records, I sometimes hear voices, which is fine. I mean, it's under control. But lately, they've been getting a little bit more. Actually, it's just one of them. The other one's fine. But well, it's since the group shut down, you see, because, well, I've got no one else to talk to, and, well, now I've lost my job because, well, it's difficult to, when I'm like this, But I didn't quit or anything. He's just not very patient. But why should he be? But anyway, I'm not that bothered. I'm better than that place, and I need to get myself sorted and get myself something where I'm, engaging my brain a little bit more. No, I'm not. Don't call me that.
You're a genius.
So, the symptom concerning you most is that you are hearing voices more frequently.
No, it doesn't concern me. No, I'll be fine. I mean, Jesus, it's been worse. But yes, sort of. I am hearing them more frequently, yeah, and a little bit louder.
I'm sorry to hear that, Aisling. That must be very difficult for you.
Sometimes, yeah.
You stupid fucking bitch. They're gonna dose
I mean,
you. We're gonna die.
I mean,
Handling
sorry.
It's gonna be fine.
Sorry. It's not like I need any medication or anything. I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirts, didn't suit me. You'll see all that in my notes, won't you? No. Like I say, all I need is just to get signed off for a couple of weeks. It's just for the job centre. It was the lady there, actually, that said I should come and ask. And, if maybe you know of another support group somewhere, something like that.
Are you currently hearing voices of people who aren't
Well,
real?
we can hear you, dickhead. Is that what you mean?
No. Like I say, it's not that bad, really.
You just told me that the worsening symptoms are the reason you're currently unemployed.
Cockroach.
Oh, well, yeah. But like I say, I was fine with the group. So I just need to find something like that, really. I'm sure I could find one in a couple of weeks. I just need to focus on that for now, and then I'll be able to better focus on the job search. I mean, they've offered me a call centre thing, but I've told them I'm not very good on the phone, as you can imagine.
Fucking talking.
I'm afraid I cannot recommend any groups.
Right, yes. No, that's fine. I'm sure I can find one
And
myself.
based on what you have told me, I'm afraid I cannot authorise any absence from your job search commitments.
What did I tell you?
Yeah, fair enough. Sort of knew you were going to say that, to be honest. It's just because the lady there said I needed one, and
Get out.
Anyway, my 7 minutes is probably up, so I'll just
Now.
leave you to it.
Aisling, we haven't completed your consultation.
Oh, no, that's fine. I don't want to waste any more of your time.
If we don't complete the consultation, I will have to recommend sanctions.
Ah, here we go.
So, what do you mean, sanctions?
You are currently receiving welfare payments on the understanding that you are seeking work. However, you have now informed me that you are unable to work because of your worsening symptoms.
No, I can't. Look, sorry,
What did I say?
just forget
What
I asked
did
for the
I
sick note. I didn't even
fucking
fucking
say?
want one. Sorry, I'll be fine. I just need to focus
I
and
think Lucas was right. We shouldn't have come here.
shit, I'm sorry.
Aisling, it's fine. We just need to complete the consultation. I will make some recommendations that will help with your recovery. But the final decision on your recovery plan will be up to you.
Right, so I'll still get my payments.
As long as you are working towards your recovery and, once deemed fit for work, making all reasonable efforts to find paid employment, your payments will continue. As a gesture of goodwill, I will even waive the fee for running over the allotted 7-minute consultation.
You're a fucking leech. They're lying.
I've got no choice, have
Got
I?
no choice, Lucas.
I can assure you, Aisling, patients always have choice.
Okay.
Before we continue, I can see that you don't have a next of kin or alternative emergency contact named in your records.
So?
Patients with your level of symptoms are required by law to have a next of kin or an alternative emergency contact named in their records.
Well, I don't have one. It's just me.
According to our records, your legal next of kin is your brother, Mr. Joseph Brennan.
Joseph?
No, that's wrong.
I can see that you were separated after the death of your mother, but he is still
My
your
mum
next of
isn't
kin.
dead. Who the fuck do you think you are?
I am merely referring to our
This
records,
is fucking sick.
Aisling.
This is
Murderer.
fucking sick. Will you fucking shut up, Lucas? You hear me?
I'm so sorry.
No.
Why won't you talk to her?
I said fucking shut up!
I'm sorry.
Now look what you've fucking done.
Aisling, please try
I'm
and stay
sorry.
calm.
Stop,
I'm
please,
here to
stop
help
crying.
you.
I just want you to talk to her as you need to.
I know. Just not now, please.
Okay.
Aisling,
Ask your questions. I need to leave.
before I proceed, I need to confirm your emergency
Oh,
contact.
for fuck's sake.
I have provisionally added Joseph Brennan as your emergency.
Yes, fine. Okay, thank you. Next question.
Thank you, Aisling. You seem upset. Would you like something to drink? Maybe a glass of water?
No.
Or a complimentary coffee? We have latte, cappuccino,
I said no.
espresso.
Next question.
Very well. Aisling, Are you aware of the implant?
What?
What?
The implant. Have you heard of it?
Of course I've heard of it. Everyone's heard of it.
Excellent. Are you aware of the benefits associated with having the implant?
Look, I'll just save you some time here. I will not be having that. No chance.
Would you like me to explain how the new Type 4 implant works and why it would be of benefit to you as a treatment option?
No. Next question.
Perhaps you'd like to take some time to think about it.
Listen to me. I will not be having that fucking thing in my head. I've seen what it does to people. What are my other options?
I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm confident that it would be the perfect solution for you.
What are my other options?
The Type 4 implant is the only treatment option that I can recommend for you.
Oh, what
What?
a surprise.
This is ridiculous. I literally came here and just said I just want to talk to someone.
Talking therapy is not recommended for low-functioning patients with your
Useless
level of
either.
symptoms. It is also not available on your policy.
Right. So, hang on. So, it's the implant or nothing. That's my choice.
That's correct.
Right, well, cool. In that case, I will decide on my own recovery plan. I'll find another group. I'll start my own up if I have to, and I'll do the usual. I'll get some exercise. I'll watch my diet. Yeah, that's sorted. Thank you so much for
Get
your help.
out.
Yeah, don't worry, we're leaving.
Aisling, I am unable to approve your recovery plan. If you leave this consultation without an approved recovery plan, your welfare payments will cease immediately.
What?
Oh,
But
this
you
is
just said,
priceless.
fuck off!
Well
You
done.
just said it was my choice.
It is your choice, Aisling, but it is my responsibility to ensure your choice is an informed one. Welfare payments are provided for people who are either fit for work and actively seeking it, or for people who are unfit for work and doing all they can to recover. We have provided you with a viable plan for recovery, and you have rejected it, meaning you are now classed as willfully unfit and therefore
Parasite.
ineligible for welfare payments.
Fine, well, I will manage without it.
How will you manage financially?
I've got enough to get by until I get a job.
The balance of your Vigil Plus credit account is £27.04.
No, I've got over 700 quid in... Yeah, right, but that is because I'm waiting for the refund, aren't I? That's your fault, not mine.
It's no one's fault, Aisling. I'm trying to help you. Your rent is due in 14 days, and without protection from the welfare guarantee, you will face eviction.
Eviction?
You
But I've
useless
never missed a
slag. This is all
payment.
your fault.
I've never...
Where do we go?
I can pay it when the refund comes in.
Aisling, none of that will happen if you take responsibility and agree to the treatment we have
I
recommended.
am not having the fucking implant! Stop my payments, evict me. I would rather live in a fucking bin than have that thing in my head.
Consultancy room doors locked. Aisling Brennan, you are being detained under Section 5 of the Compulsory Treatment Act.
What? No, you can't do that. Open the door.
You have been diagnosed with willful vagrancy disorder and have therefore been approved as a compulsory recipient of the Type 4 implant. The doors will remain locked until transport arrives to move you to a specialist treatment centre where you will undertake assessment ahead of being fitted
We're
with the
dead.
implant.
We're all dead.
Open the fucking door!
Security to room 10 immediately, please.
I'm serious, you can't do this to me. Open it!
Aisling, please try and stay calm. The people entering the room are here to help you. It would be better for everyone if you put the chair down.
Ow! Get your fucking hands off me! Ow, you're hurting me.
Aisling,
Stop,
we've had to do
please!
this to keep everyone safe. Please don't
Can
struggle.
you keep a secret?
No, please.
That's how you know if someone loves you.
Urgent care plan approved. Rapid tranquilization appropriate. Lorazepam 2 milligrams. Intramuscular administer when ready.
It won't hurt if you don't fight it.
Fuck this.
The medication will take effect soon, Aisling. Please remain calm. Your transport will arrive very shortly. We will contact you next in peace. We will aim to receive what you want.
terms of the feedback that we've had and how we're using it for training before we have a little chat about what we've watched, and I can answer a few questions hopefully that'll come up. Just quickly, some of the feedback that we got after the tour. This was during the tour even. This question I think was really exciting for me in terms of the responses that we got. Have your views changed at all after attending this event? And right across the right across the board, we had around 40% of people saying yes, it had changed their views, and that includes health professionals and health lecturers that you might think might have quite robust views by this point. So that was really encouraging. And I think perhaps even more encouraging was that from the people who said no or uncertain in answer to this question, they went on in the narrative section to explain how, whilst their views hadn't changed necessarily, but they said that they had been sort of strengthened or reignited, as some people put it. So that was all really positive. Some of the themes that came through in the narrative responses as well. This came up quite a bit. It made me feel the emotions that the patient would feel. We had several versions of that. That's that empathy machine that we're going for. So that was encouraging. Quite a lot of people said that it should be mandatory. People should be forced to see it, dragged kicking and screaming, which was very exciting in terms of the enthusiasm, but perhaps not, very good modelling if we're talking about person-centred care and collaborative care, that kind of thing. So, but it was nice and enthusiastic. This was a really important one that came through quite a bit. This idea of it being real life experience, but delivered in a safe environment, and that's, that encouraged us to go further with that idea of seeing it as placement, as simulated placement. And I think just as important that we had people who said that they had shared experiences with the themes that were explored in the play, describing that they felt less alone, more seen, even empowered. So that was really important to me. And just for today, I just thought I'd share a couple of extra quotes that I don't normally share, that are perhaps more suited to medicine and training in terms of student doctors particularly. So this one, the desire to use this production in the context of training medical professionals is brilliant. I'm involved in teaching medical students, and although the concepts of enabling patient choice / involvement in treatment pathways and ideas around how we define disability and what is normal are emphasised, these are generally presented in ways that are very dry and theoretical. Using a production such as this would have a much greater impact. And I'm sure you guys are already using much more creative ways than the dry theoretical stuff that was described here, but that was really nice to hear in terms of someone who's working with medical students. This one has contributed in a big way to me thinking about how important it is that we are critical about our normalised practices in the field of mental health and not just going through the motions with things that are restrictive just because there is no time, staff or resources. That's from a doctor. And finally, this one from a psychiatrist who says, it makes me worry about the future of AI. It makes me think about the past, present and future of psych, including institutional practices, which may worsen. It was a thought-provoking play and each character could be empathised with. Emphasize. I just realised that that's not quite right. Just quickly, before we get into the questions, in terms of the ways that we can use the play and some of the films that I've done in education and in CPD as well. So the usual way we do it is we have a screening followed by a discussion with guest experts. We can do that in a couple of hours with one of the short films, or if we're doing the play, we'd need around 3.5 hours to do that to make sure we've got enough time for breaks and proper reflection. Next step up from that is kind of the same thing, but with a bit of a workshop added to it. So we might, break people up into small groups to explore certain themes in more depth. And we'd tend to have about half a day to a full day on that, depending on how many of the play, whether it's the play in a film or just a play on its own or whatever. And then the one that I've been working on for a couple of years now is this 2 to 10 day simulated practice learning package, where we get the chance to explore several themes in more depth by revisiting clips and doing reflection in small groups with supervisors guiding along the way. Then moving on to bespoke role play activities that kind of designed to kind of complement that work and pull that reflected learning into practice. We're calling that rehearsal for practice instead of role play to kind of get it across how important it is that people get a chance to do this in safety before they do it out in practice. And also giving a chance for students, predominantly nursing students at this point, learn acting and performance skills that we think will improve their communication, help them get more depth of learning from the role play, and also just help them build stronger therapeutic relationships with those skills that can come from talking and listening and other things that we can get through performance skills. Currently piloting a 5-day package for nurses and paramedics across several universities in England, and it's adaptable for all health and social care professions, hopefully, in the long run. So I'd be interested if anyone's interested in exploring that. I've got loads of stuff here in terms of an example structure, but because we've only got 20 minutes left, I'm just going to skip through this. This is what we've put together as a structure for the pilot for mental health student nurses in terms of how we tackle this 5-day sim package, all the other themes that we can use to explore in the future as well. But I want to get on to having a discussion and make sure we've got enough time to have a chat. So yeah, hopefully that was interesting for you all. Let me just see if I can stop sharing. Over to you. Questions, thoughts, anything really.
Thanks so much, Pete. That was really interesting. I wish we had time to watch it all. Actually, that would be it'd be great. It's just a little snapshot. I'm going to open it up for questions. I have questions, but I'll hold off and open it up to let other people. Paul.
I just so enjoyed that. I could have also just kept watching it, and actually I was thinking a lot about personal friends and that I would like to share this with. I was thinking, my mate, all the people. There's lots of people I'd like to share it with. From an educational point of view, I do worry that if I was to show this to one of my first year students, they would come to me and ask where they can learn more about willful vagrancy syndrome. I think I'd be worried that a medical student would take, you kind of need an entry point, don't you, to kind of understand the kind of conceptual and sorry, this is just me chattering now, but since I didn't really have a straight question, when I wanted to ask a little bit more about your name, like the name you've got, the empathy machine, because I think when I saw that I thought this was going to be a film about learning to empathize, but I wonder if the emphasis is on the machine a bit more in that title.
I see. So the title of the play is actually The Possibility of Colour. So empathy machines is more my approach to the kind of all-encompassing sort of term I use to kind of capture what I do with film and theatre. So it's this idea that that's what film and theatre does. It creates empathy in people. I used to call it forced empathy, but that didn't sound very kind. But that's kind of like how it comes from, really. But yeah, interesting that you drew on the machine element, and I'm sure there's lots of conversations we can have about whether we can empathise with machines or machines can empathise with us, and all this advances in AI and things like that. But maybe another day.
Maybe while other people are having a think, it kind of links into to Paul's question there. I've just come back from a conference where there was a lot of talk about AI, and somebody actually did a live chat with an AI about the future of medical education and sort of diagnostics and so on. So it was really amazing, actually, that interaction with the AI. And so, I mean, for me, so that was the bit probably in some ways that I was kind of like immediately thinking about. But I sort of wonder, again, we always, like Paul, kind of always go to, how do I think the medical students would react to that, particularly early stage? And I sort of wonder whether you've got any response like this of them positioning that as a kind of worst case scenario, so the AI is showing a complete lack of empathy. But obviously, real doctors won't do that. Real doctors are much more empathetic. And is that deliberate to provoke that kind of discussion, or would they come away? Is there a slight danger that, in a very non-nuanced way, they come away thinking, "Oh, AI's the big risk, but as long as it keeps human, it's all going to be okay"?
Well, I think what tends to come up in the discussions is obviously we're aware, from watching the whole play particularly, that it is this kind of dystopian future that we're looking at, potentially not too far away, but that it is a dystopian version of things. But I think what we eventually come to talk about is that Vigil represents certain practices that are happening already, you know, and that kind of, you know, a lot of it came from when I left drama school, when I first graduated, and you, as a working actor, a jobbing actor, you kind of have to get a bill paying job, and my first job was working at NHS Direct, as it was then, or 111 as it is now, and I used to find it so frustrating, have to read the script that a consultant had written, you know, a very senior consultant had written. You must ask this question exactly this way and not veer away from it. And the amount of times you'd get people phoning up saying, I want to speak to a human, not a robot. And you did feel like you were a robot. And so that was kind of where the idea of the Vigil character came. And obviously we're seeing so many ways that AI can help in health, you know, the way they can spot things in, you know, MRI scans that humans don't and things like that. And I think using it as a tool is great, but it's, as ever, not just in health, but I think it's whether AI could come to be used to replace, to reduce costs, you know, because it is, you know, cheaper than people, and whether it, you know, if we eventually come to the point where there is this two-tier health system. So it's all those kind of things that come into the conversations on a more sort of philosophical thing, and just perhaps having that seed planted that when people go out into practice and things start to get brought in, like, oh, we're just going to kind of just thin end of the wedge on this, to kind of think about whether they want to push back on that and fight for, you know, certain ethical standards within their practice, really. Yeah, I think that's kind of, is that an answer to your question? That's, I'm picking little bits out that I've heard from some of the discussions that we've had, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely, that's really helpful.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Paul?
Yeah, because I was thinking about that as well. But it does work in that level of, because sometimes in lots of different professional careers, you find yourself saying the line, you know, following. It is that kind of 1984 kind of. So even though it isn't like a lot of dystopian fiction, you know, it's an extension of our present, right? So actually, that's what's quite a thought-provoking learning tool, is how somebody else perceives it. When, you know, that in a way you could, there's one version of that where the AI was being very sympathetic, it was patient, it was saying all the right things, it was directing that person to the correct information, and perhaps for some of our medical students that is what the comm skills training looks like, but actually this is a kind of a lesson in how it might be perceived the other way, even if it is a kind of an exaggerated account of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is a therapeutic relationship? Is it just about staying calm and not losing your rag when someone's being, you know, emotional, you know, or is it about connecting with people and being two human beings in the same space as well? So we do a lot of work in the sim package in terms of the communication skills and the empathy and the therapeutic relationships run right the way through. So we'll have a day where we look at suicide and self-harm. We have a day when we look at ACEs and trauma-informed care, but that therapeutic relationship and communication skills runs right the way through the week, in terms of how we communicate, how we listen to people's stories and start to pick up on clues and ask, you know, dig a little deeper. Heidi's got a hand up.
Yep, Heidi.
Yeah, I just have a couple of comments and then a question. Based on the few things that have been said already, I just think about the idea of sort of the dystopic and the future. And one thing I was really struck by watching it is the resonance with current conversations happening right now about people who were quote unquote economically inactive and who should be getting back to work. And I don't know if it's that far to imagine an illness of vagrancy disorder. You know, like it felt very close to the present, which I thought was rather unsettling. The other thought I was thinking about the communication stuff. It was interesting to think about the possibility of the kind of, one of the things that some of the clinical lecturers have pointed out for our first and second year students is that they learn these skills, these communication skills, but then in the exams, they just kind of do it by rote without any kind of empathy. So it's interesting. I found it interesting to think about sort of maybe not just the computer that could be rehearsing and empathy, like in this sort of, we could also think about the risk of humans also kind of ticking the boxes, you say the right thing, and actually she just wanted somebody to talk to, right? Like and so that was really, but the question I have is, have there been any unexpected responses from people? Not necessarily sort of, I don't mean negative, just kind of noticing things in the play or the film that you hadn't maybe thought were part of the visioning of it. Or I was just curious to know the ways in which there might be some unexpected interpretations or takeaways. That might
so
there's
sometimes there's sometimes some very unusual ones. It'd be difficult to kind of describe it without giving away like plot spoilers for the ending and things like that. But one that really surprised me, and perhaps it's in a way it's kind of what I did hope, but it was who kind of had the experience that surprised me. That the character that I play in the play is a character who's it's not we don't mention any of the kind of diagnoses in it other than these made up ones like the willful vagrancy disorder, for example. But he's very much clearly on the autistic spectrum, and he talks about and shares with his sister his experience of synesthesia, and he has this specific word taste synesthesia that he's keeping very secret because he thinks it's strange, and he opens up about that with his sister. And there's someone called James Wannerton, who's the president of the UK Synesthesia Association, who has that form of synesthesia, and he helped me to develop the script to make sure that it was accurate. And he spent his whole life talking about synesthesia and raising awareness and going all over the world, hosting events and creating art to help improve, and get people with synesthesia to recognise themselves and find that support that they might need, and understand themselves a bit better. What was interesting was that he watched the play, and bearing in mind he'd seen the development side of it, he'd seen several drafts of the script, but when he watched it live, he then opened up to me and said, I've just realised that I hear voices the way Aisling does, and I've never told anyone about that because I've kept it secret because I felt ashamed of it. And it was I still get goosebumps thinking about it, that there's someone who's so open about his experiences and sharing these things, but he'd never shared that. And he now starts to share that with these synesthesia groups, that he hears those voices exactly the same way Aisling does. There's a very aggressive one and a very calm one. And he has a third one that is his voice, who makes a decision once they've finished arguing as to which way they're going to go. And he now goes and talks. He comes along as a guest expert after screenings quite often, and talks about that. So that was the one that really got me in the gut. I think that one was really special.
Any other questions? I wonder if we've got a few. Oh, Gemma.
Hi, thanks, Pete. That was really great. I suppose just coming back to something Heidi mentioned. So just to say, I'm Gemma Ashwell. I'm a GP and a lecturer at Leeds Medical School. So great to be here. I think Heidi mentioned sort of assessment and how that fits in, and I guess it's a really difficult question, but I don't know if you've got any views. So a lot of the time when I'm trying to kind of do teaching and learning around issues like empathy and trauma-informed care, we struggle with student engagement as far as, it's not going to be assessed in the exam, so we find it difficult to get the students as engaged as they might be if it was learning the anatomy of the heart or something. So I don't know if you had any thoughts as to how you would view this learning forming being in any form of assessment for healthcare professional students.
Yeah, I think obviously I'm more aware of how the nursing curriculum works. We've had it as part of the more taught content, but we're looking more towards practice and simulated practice, because this one of the things we've got is a shortage of simulation, and with practice that is they have to turn up, they have to do the reflection, they have to submit that, and that is assessed, and goes towards their practice hours that they need to do before getting their pin and qualifying. So I think there are ways to measure it. In terms of learning outcomes, we've done quite a lot of analysis on the feedback, and we're still continuing to do that this year as we do the pilots for the SIM package as well. Mapped that against the standards, of the future nurse standards, for example, from the NMC. And again, we could do that with I think any branch of health and social care. I think any profession, it just need a bit of work to kind of do that. Then we can kind of match that off really. I think that'd just be a conversation to have in terms of there's so much in there. I think that we could pick at. It's not just about communication skills, but about understanding, different elements of mental health and the role of trauma and neurodiversity, coercion, all those kind of things that we can think about. I think it's quite broad. It's just looking at where the gaps are and how we can use this to kind of solve those problems really. But more than happy to kind of have a look at what would be possible and see how we can, match the play and the other stuff that we've been developing to that kind of work, if that'd be of interest.
Thank you. And I completely agree with you about reflection as well, which is how sort of a lot of what I've been using to encourage the students with this sort of type of material. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I hope that just the fact that it's enjoyable, and that people find it moving, that they would want to take part, and we're encouraging more creative reflection as well through this, so people being a bit more free form with how they reflect on their experiences.
Thanks, Gemma. That's a really good question. I think it's one that we, in the broader sense of a lot of the things that we are interested in within BEST around social science, and many of the subjects that we're trying to encourage the students to engage with, it's always that challenge in terms of how do you assess structural understanding, how do you assess things like empathy and compassion. It's embedded within OSCEs to an extent, but back to that whole tick box thing, it's a little bit, if you're an examiner and you've got a kind of checklist of the different domains and so on, or different criteria, then it becomes very superficial how it's assessed. But that's a much bigger issue, isn't it, than the whole assessment within medical education that we definitely are attending to and thinking about, but have, it's a big one. So, Paul, do you want to come back in?
Yeah, I thought that was a really good point from Gemma, and it reminded me that we've been talking at Hull York a bit about bringing more arts and humanities into our education and what that would look like, and it's quite a complicated discussion. But in response to something I did have some emails from some students saying that they're interested in poetry, and the suggestion was, why don't you do a workshop on use of poetry to explore like women's experiences of childbirth and stuff like this. So there was an enthusiasm from some of the students to do art-related stuff, and I wonder if one way you could go with this is the student-selected components. So not every medical student is going to be passionate, but providing some opportunities for learning or having a go for those who really are interested in doing some theatre. So just to share that thought.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I think there's loads of scope to think about how we can bring it in. Oh, Mary.
Oh, hello. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jenny. You can finish what you were going to say.
No, I was just going to say I think there's loads of scope, loads of things to think about. It was more of a waffly statement, so I'm delighted to pass
Okay, thank
over
you,
to you,
Jenny.
Mary.
Thank you, and thank you, Peter, very much for sharing this with us. I'm Mary. I'm a clinical education fellow. I'm working at the University of Edinburgh at the moment in communication teaching, and I was just thinking, and apologies if this was mentioned and maybe I didn't pick it up, but other than the 2-hour short film with discussion, do you have any form of maybe short form content that could be done as workshops with students in the medical school, maybe directed at certain specific topics that we could then do those reflections that Gemma and you were mentioning before?
Yeah, great, thank you, Mary. So I've got short films that I think do similar things. So the film I mentioned at the beginning, the one about PTSD, that's a 10-minute film that does a similar job. It's obviously doesn't cover as much, but that can work. Obviously, we can just use the one scene that we've just watched, or even what we're doing in terms of the wider sim package is, so for example, the students will watch the whole play on the first day, but then there's other days where we'll focus, for example, on suicide and self-harm, and then we'll revisit clips from the play and one of the films with pauses to kind of discuss and reflect before we do role play in the afternoon. So there's ways of shortening out and pulling out little bits to kind of really narrow in on certain themes. And also the other thing that we're developing, still for this pilot with nurses on the sim package, is introducing acting skills, as I kind of briefly mentioned earlier, in terms of how we can draw comparisons between acting and being a health professional, and so many interchangeable skills, and what we can kind of learn from acting and performance, what we do in terms of body language, actually listening, active listening, and actually trusting your emotional and empathetic responses to people, and how that can be used to build these really good therapeutic relationships. So there's a number of ways to do it, definitely, depending on what kind of time and resources that are available. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And is there any way for us to watch the full 2-hour film, or would we have to attend a conference? And also, I would be really interested to read your PhD when you finish that, if you are happy to share that with
Thank
us.
you. Yeah, that'll be another year or so, hopefully. But no, if people are interested in knowing more, I'm more than happy to share a link to watch the whole thing. Just as a kind of a private link that doesn't go further, obviously, but just to kind of get your thoughts and explore some ideas of how we could use this in. And I'm sure it'd be different in every different university because of the different ways different institutes work. But yeah, I'd love to speak to you more about it if you want to get in touch. Or I think we're going to share my email. Is that right, Jenny? Or if that's not already been done?
It was, yeah. No, it wasn't. I can do that. I can follow up with that around the network. And I will be posting I'll do it at the same time as I post the link to the recording. So that's fine. Yeah. So thanks again, Pete. That's really great. And Mary, I think we should have a chat about possible things that we could do at Edinburgh. That'd be great. So yeah, thanks again. Thanks everybody for coming along. Really, really interesting, and loads of food for thought. Like I say, I'll be posting this on the YouTube channel, but I'll send the link round the normal email address. Great to see everybody, and just a reminder that deadlines for the abstract for the conference, the BEST conference in June, has been extended. So we now have till the middle of the 14th of February. Okay. Great to see everybody. Thanks very much. And thanks,
Thank
Pete,
you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.